So let's go through those papers then this morning with former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, and actor extraordinaire Christopher Biggins. Good morning, you two.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's talk tax, Dawn, in the Times, just to cheer us up on a Monday morning. I'll tell you what, though, isn't there a sense, and I know nobody likes paying taxes, but don't you think there's a sense, though, that we're all starting to think, well, if we don't pay a bit more, we're all screwed, basically?
I think, unfortunately, you're right. And as Rishi Sunak has said in this interview, picked up on by the Times and all the papers, that, Britain will be punished by the financial markets if we don't sort the financial black hole out, which is 50, 55 or 60 billion, depending on who you talk to, what time of day it is. It seems to be going up by the second. So, it's the financial markets are running the country. We saw that with Liz Truss. And it's almost like it's been cunningly planned, doesn't it? It's sort of like get Liz Truss to go in first and really prove that sort of like, tax handouts don't work, and then I can come in and take all the money from you. But is it a Conservative government? And we are now paying the highest taxes. And the one thing I think a lot of people will be worried about this morning is that the energy bill price cap will now be ending in April as well, which will probably result in another £600 for ordinary families out there as of April. And we don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's going to still be cold, etc., etc. But there is some little bit of look forward, stick with me, I'm Rishi, isn't there? Jeremy Hunt will also lay out longer term plans so that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does probably appear to be a train hurtling towards us still. And Sunak was speaking, this is my favourite bit of this particular interview, he was giving this interview on his way to the G20 summit in Bali. And with the same group of people who have just been in Egypt discussing how we're all destroying the planet by flying everywhere.
Ah, yes. Well, I share your cynicism to some degree. However...
Oh, there's always a however with
when it comes to sorting out our chaos that we're in at the moment, it seems pretty clear that there will be some backroom dealing between diplomats from everywhere else and Russia, which could be a step forward. Because if we sort that out, then everything else is going to get a bit easier.
Absolutely. Bali?
I know, that does look like a nice Sharm el-Sheikh to Bali. It's like the sunshine tour of the globe.
Well, Indonesia's got the presidency.
Oh, stop being so good to them. Let's have a whinge. It's a Monday morning.
No, believe you me, when this came out he was going to Bali, I whinged all weekend, so I'm just trying to be reasonable now. There you go.
Biggins, you want to talk about the Mail, extraordinary story on the front of the Mail this morning about A&E chief. What's he saying about his parents?
Well, Adrian Boyle, the new president of the Royal College of Emergency Medicine, saying that he wouldn't send, if his parents went into hospital, they wouldn't come out again, which is a terrifying thing to say, a man in that position. But I think he's possibly right. I mean, I think it's so badly run. I think what we should do with the A&E is people. I had 2 operations last year on the National Health, which was fantastic. I should have paid something. Not the huge fees, but a token fee for having those operations. And I think that's what we should do. People should not, it shouldn't be free for certain people, but if you can afford it, you should pay.
But aren't you paying already through your taxes?
I know, but I think if you have an operation which costs £25,000, which they can do nowadays, I think you should pay at least £1,000 towards it.
That's what happens in Australia, funnily enough.
Is it?
Yeah, so when people go to have babies, you're basically encouraged, if you can afford it and you've got a decent job, you should really be going private and paying for it rather than leaning on the state.
And also in Germany, it has one of the most successful healthcare systems in Europe, and they have a small, you take out a small private insurance. But I mean, you're treading on dangerous ground, because as soon as you start even discussing that area, it's, you're privatising the NHS. No, because it's quite clearly not working.
Well, except the whole point, the whole basis of the NHS, which is what you have the struggle to get over, is free at the point of care.
Yeah. I know, but we've been used to this for the whole of our lives, and I think it's wrong. I think that's where, and there are. I think the administration side of the NHS is so bad. I mean, there are certain things which, I was offered an ambulance to get me to go to the hospital to have some work done on my leg, and why couldn't I get myself to the hospital? Why do they provide that? I think it's just a waste of money somewhere along the line, and I think that should be sorted out. But it's a horrible thing which he said, he says they're like lobster traps, easy to get in but hard to get out.
We've all got stories like that, haven't we? And of course, this all links back to politics and what's happening. What's going to be announced on Thursday. Rishi obviously wanted to increase national insurance to pay for social care, which is where a lot of these people need to go, but there's nowhere for so-called bed blockers to be released.
The phrase bed blockers always makes me uncomfortable. We are referring to elderly people, and it's not their fault. I mean, it is the care system at fault. And as our Dr. Boyle points out, I mean, people earn more moving boxes around in the Amazon warehouse than they do moving old people around in our care system. And I mean, I've got a friend who works in a care home, and she says the way it's run, the whole system, and the amount of money that carers are earned, who work incredibly hard and do a very, very tough job, is appalling, and you can't make it financially viable, especially if you've got a family yourself. So it's the care system that needs sorting out. And but moving on to the the Daily Mirror, which is on the same subject. I mean, last chance to save our NHS. Now, to my mind, newspapers, not just the Mirror, but have been doing this headline for at least probably 30 years.
It's not new.
It's not new, Stephen, and it's it's pretty much the same as the Mail, but I mean, it's sort of like people are waiting in ambulances, and it's a bed blocking story, but on a different angle. And this is the Unite Union saying we need more money now. But I mean, they want 7 billion more next year. I mean, where is this money coming from?
Exactly.
You can increase national insurance, and that's not going to go well. I mean, even Keir Starmer's having doubts about that.
Are they wrong, though, in the sense that we expect that the triple lock is going to stay in place, which is going to cost us, we're finding £11 billion to pay for that on Thursday. So is 7 billion more unreasonable?
But where do you stop?
Well,
I mean, and as Christopher's already pointed out, I mean, the NHS, the way it's run and managed at the moment is appalling, the amount of waste that goes on. I mean, there are 500 pen pushers on over £100,000 a year while we're struggling to pay nurses who, entry level is 23,000, but the average salary is about 30,000 in this country. So we're struggling to pay the people that are actually doing the work on the ground floor, but we are paying diversity managers and managers who aren't. And when I had this debate the other day, someone said, oh yeah, but they're nurses that have worked their way up. No, a lot of them aren't. They are managers. They have no experience of actual healthcare per se, and they're quite clearly not doing a good job. So stop paying the people at the top £200,000 a year and start paying the people actually doing the work. And the junior doctor is on, early 30,000 a year? Start paying the people actually doing the work.
I couldn't agree more with you, and I think it's terrible. I mean, nurses, they work so hard, and they're put under tremendous strain, and at the end of the day, they can't afford to eat.
I know.
That is what is so terrible. There's something must be done about it.
And this idea that everybody's going to be paying more taxes as of Thursday, and that includes these very, very hard-working, struggling to survive nurses.
Many of them are paying £3,000 a year just to park their cars at the hospitals they work at.
No, ridiculous.
And we wonder why there's a retention problem in nursing.
Well, going from health to the former health secretary, in the former, thank goodness, Matt Hancock. What's he been getting up to now?
Well, if I was in the jungle, and I was in the jungle 12 years ago.
You were king.
I was king.
I
won.
Deservedly so.
Oh, thank you very much. And I loved it. I really loved it. But if I was in there with him, I'd be furious because he's taking all the time.
The Hancock show.
It is exactly the Matt Hancock show. He's so far he's done every trial, and the awful thing is he's done it rather well. And that is what is so interesting. If he wasn't Matt Hancock, we'd be saying, oh, isn't he great? But if I was the others, I mean, some people just haven't got a look in this show, and they've made this effort to go all the way to Australia. I know they've been paid, some of them have been paid a lot of money, but I mean, even so, it's just appalling. And he was so, my hair looks terrible.
just compare it to mine, sweetheart. It's fine.
Just had a look there. No, I mean, and last night was a prime example. I mean, he was bitten by a scorpion. Well, the scorpion was tiny. You know, it was a minute
And had to have therapy afterwards.
Yes,
that scorpion, by the way.
I know, but every moment of the programme is taken up with him.
But that's the fault of the viewers voting him in, is it? And the fault of ITV for how they're editing it, isn't it?
Well, of course it is, but I mean, they're saying in one of the papers today that he will be first out, and I think that would be the marvellous thing if he was the first out.
Well, what will be interesting to see is if it does go anyway to repair his reputation, because I've noticed the tide beginning to turn on social media.
Well,
People are saying, actually, he's done rather well. And, oh, gosh, he's quite a good sport.
Yeah.
He's
winning people over.
Anyone that's got the brass neck to go in there after what he's done, of course, eating a kangaroo's willy is going to be no problem whatsoever, is it? I said willy live on Breakfast Daily. It's not going to be a problem for someone like him, is it? It's just going to plough on through it. And I'm just sitting there watching Mike Tyndall, who's obviously an alpha male and really wants to get on with things. I'm just waiting for him to explode.
Well, I think, and also, he's when they first went in, he was on my list of the top 3.
Yeah.
And he must be furious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's not getting anything, and I think he's brilliant. He's a wonderful guy. I also love the lady footballer.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
She's wonderful. She could easily win, but I mean, he won't win. We know that he will not win.
Sure?
I'm sure he won't win. I mean, if he does, I'll eat my Australian hat.
The stupid thing about this whole thing is that more people are voting for Hancock to do these stupid things in the jungle than voting for Rishi Sunak to be PM. And that's the sort of country we're living in at the moment. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very weird.
Just for Biggins' entertainment, let's talk Ronaldo, Dawn.
Biggins, would you like to take this one?
Oh, I'd like to take something on. Honestly, I think he's gorgeous. Don't you think he's gorgeous?
It's what sort of yes, I suppose. Yes.
Oh no, he wouldn't have.
If you could take away his personality, he's
100% heterosexual, so you got no chance.
But he's very, very
Any case, this is the son.
Dawn, I love you.
This is the son who have got an exclusive interview with Ronaldo, conducted by his best mate Piers Morgan, and he's saying he's feeling. It's a sports interview. What it's doing on the front page, I don't know. How well this will sell, I don't know. Should be a back page story. He's feel betrayed by Man United because they haven't treated him very well. They showed a lack of empathy over his baby passing away, which was obviously desperately sad. And everything that goes wrong with the club now, they are blaming him personally, so he feels like the black sheep. People, he's on £26.8 million a year. That's about £515,000 a week. And he's complaining.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I would cope with that.
Yeah, I'd cope with that.
So would I.
Might even pay for my own operations, Biggins.
Right, I think we're going to call time on that paper. We're going to have more from both these lovely people just after 7:30. Christopher and Dawn for now. Thank you both very much.